More now on that major health breach at Sydney Airport. A plane full of passengers allowed to walk off a Jetstar flight from Melbourne without being screened for COVID-19. Jacinda Fermanis was one of those on board and joins us now. Jacinda, thanks for joining us this morning. What happened?
Thanks for having me. It's just a bit of a nightmare, really. I joined the queue at Jetstar in Melbourne and then obviously boarded as per usual. We were given a form to fill in with a bit of information about where we were staying, our contact details. Got on the plane and those forms were never collected. So I believe looking at the press release that was released last night, 48 passengers, including myself, left the airport. No screening by any health officials, police or anybody like that. So pretty concerning stuff, really. But, you know, this should have been preventable, you'd hope, especially after what we've seen with the Ruby Princess.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's being described as the Ruby Princess 2.0 by some. But, I mean, what did you think when you were allowed to just walk out and there were no questions asked?
I couldn't quite believe it personally. Being a resident of New South Wales and having to travel domestically quite frequently for work, personally, I take all the safety precautions possible. However, you know, there are things that really need to be adhered to, especially now that we're seeing a second wave in Victoria. Haven't heard from Jetstar at all either, which is a little bit shocking. New South Wales Health were very quick to get in touch with me. I believe they emailed me at about 2 a.m. The following morning had I arrived and then followed up with a call at 6 a.m. So that was promising, but it's just kind of shocking to see it happen again. So,
well, I mean, there were 137 people on board, and I know that the health authorities managed to track down all but 48 of you while still inside the terminal. So you've said New South Wales Health has now reached out to you. So what happens now? Will you be screened? And whose stuff up is this? Is this New South Wales Health or is this Jetstar in your mind?
So following being contacted, we were advised to head to a Summer Hill testing facility, or the alternative being that a member of New South Wales Health would come to you. I went with that option, basically ran through the form, the quarantine measures themselves and what to expect. I was offered a swab test, which I absolutely took. Better safe than sorry. In terms of whose fault it is, look, it's hard to say. The Jetstar staff on board the flight were not aware of what the process was, and that was clear from the outset. However, you know, in terms of blaming the staff on board, I don't think that's very fair. Obviously, there were higher orders that weren't passed down or there were miscommunication. As for the statement that New South Wales Health put out regarding there being a couple of planes all landing within a very short time frame, very empathetic to that. However, it's not new news. Dan Andrews made the announcement at about, 3:15 p.m. earlier that day. I landed at about 7 p.m. So I think there's a few people accountable here, but I will say credit to the Jetstar staff on board, as, you know, they were simply doing their best despite everything that was happening.
But there is a major problem when you've got the staff on board who don't know what the protocols are. And there is a massive mistake that has been made there. And as we saw with hotel quarantine in Melbourne, as we saw with the Ruby Princess, mistakes can be deadly. Look, we're glad now that New South Wales Health has got in contact with you and that you will be screened today. Jacinda, and we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.